Chosen ones, this Wednesday will mark the beginning of a new you. Stop for a moment. Before you continue with your day, before you answer another message, before you allow yesterday's problems to occupy today's mind, hear this. This Wednesday may look ordinary, but your life does not have to remain ordinary. You may have woken up this morning expecting another normal day. Same room, same responsibilities, same bills, same questions, same unfinished plans. But what if this is the day you finally realize that the person who entered this morning is not the same person who entered the season that nearly broke them? What if God has been using every delay, every disappointment, every closed door, and every unanswered prayer to prepare you for something you were not emotionally or spiritually ready to carry before? You thought you were being held back, but maybe you were being built. You thought nothing was happening, but maybe everything was happening underneath the surface. And today, I want you to listen carefully, because this message is not about pretending that life is perfect. It is about recognizing that your difficult season does not get to write the ending of your story. Something in you has changed, and whether you can explain it or not, you can feel it. You are tired of going backward. You are tired of questioning your worth. You are tired of waiting for permission to become the person you know you are capable of becoming. And perhaps that is exactly why this moment matters. Because sometimes the breakthrough begins when you stop asking, "When will my life change?" and begin saying, "I am ready to change with it." 1. This season did not destroy you. Think about everything you have survived recently. There were moments when you genuinely wondered whether you were going to make it through. Maybe someone walked away. Maybe an opportunity disappeared. Maybe your finances became uncertain. Maybe you felt forgotten by people you once trusted. Maybe you prayed for an answer and received silence. And perhaps the hardest part was not what happened. The hardest part was not knowing why it happened. But there is something you need to understand. Not every difficult season is evidence that God has abandoned you. Sometimes difficulty exposes what comfort was hiding. It reveals your strength. It reveals your priorities. It reveals who genuinely belongs in your life. It reveals which dreams were truly yours and which dreams were created because you were trying to satisfy someone else's expectations. You may have entered this season asking God to change your circumstances. Instead, God may have been changing you, and that transformation is more valuable than you realize. Because circumstances can change overnight. Character cannot. Wisdom cannot. Discernment cannot. Emotional maturity cannot. Those things are built slowly. They are built through experience, through disappointment, through patience, through moments when nobody applauds you for continuing. That is why you should not be ashamed of what it took to get here. The scars are evidence that you kept moving. 2. God was working in the silence. There is a kind of silence that feels painful. You pray. Nothing seems to happen. You ask for direction. The answer does not come immediately. You ask God to open one door. Instead, another door closes. And eventually, you start wondering, did God hear me? Chosen one, silence does not automatically mean absence. Sometimes the deepest work happens where you cannot see it. A seed does not become a tree while everyone is watching. It grows underground first. Roots develop before branches appear. The foundation comes before the building. And your life can work the same way. You may have been developing roots during the very season you thought you were being forgotten. You were learning patience. You were learning boundaries. You were learning how to trust yourself. You were learning how to recognize manipulation. You were learning how to walk away without explaining yourself to everyone. You were learning how to pray without demanding a specific outcome. You were learning how to keep your heart open without allowing everyone access to it. That is growth. And sometimes growth is invisible until suddenly everyone can see the result. 3. Your restlessness may be telling you something. Have you noticed that certain things don't satisfy you anymore? The conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. The environments you once tolerated now feel exhausting. The habits you once enjoyed no longer feel aligned with who you are becoming. You may even feel restless without knowing exactly what you want. Don't immediately assume something is wrong with you. Sometimes restlessness appears when your inner world has outgrown your outer circumstances. You cannot keep pretending that an old version of your life fits a new version of you. And this is where many people become afraid. Because change requires uncertainty. The familiar may be uncomfortable, but at least it is predictable. The future may be better, but you cannot control it. That is why faith becomes necessary. Faith does not mean knowing every detail. Faith means taking the next right step without demanding the entire map first. Maybe your next step is forgiving someone. Maybe it is finally applying for the opportunity. Maybe it is starting the business. Maybe it is ending the relationship. Maybe it is returning to prayer. Maybe it is simply getting out of bed and deciding that today will not be controlled by yesterday. Your next step does not have to be dramatic. It just has to be honest. 4. Some people may not come with you. This is one of the hardest lessons of personal transformation. Not everyone who knew the old you will understand the new you. Some people became comfortable with your insecurity. They became comfortable with you saying yes when you wanted to say no. They became comfortable with you constantly explaining yourself. They became comfortable with you staying small. So when you start changing, they may interpret your growth as rejection. But growth is not rejection. You can love people without allowing them to determine your direction. You can forgive someone and still maintain distance. You can appreciate your past without returning to it. You can wish someone well without taking them into your future. And sometimes God removes certain connections not because those people are evil, but because the relationship has completed its purpose. Some people belong to a chapter. They do not belong to the entire book. Let that truth give you peace. You don't have to force every relationship to survive your transformation. 5. Stop measuring your life against someone else's clock. Maybe someone you know bought the house before you. Maybe they got married first. Maybe their career took off while you were struggling. Maybe they appear financially successful while you are still trying to figure things out. And you started asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Nothing. Their timeline is not your assignment. You are looking at their visible chapter while comparing it to your invisible chapter. You don't know what happens behind their doors. You don't know their private struggles. You don't know their sacrifices. And most importantly, you don't know what God may be preparing in your own life. Your journey cannot be measured accurately by someone else's calendar. Some things arrive early. Some things arrive later. And some things arrive only after you become strong enough to carry them. So stop calling yourself behind. You are still becoming. 6. The person you were had a purpose. There is a version of you that deserves compassion. The anxious version, the insecure version, the version that stayed too long, the version that trusted the wrong people, the version that made mistakes, the version that didn't know what you know now. Don't hate that person. That person was trying to survive with the information they had at the time. You don't need to destroy your former self. You need to thank them. Because they carried you here. But now you can choose differently. You can communicate differently. You can love differently. You can work differently. You can pray differently. You can make decisions from wisdom instead of fear. That is what maturity looks like. Not becoming someone completely different. Becoming more fully who you were meant to be. 7. Your next season will require a different mindset. You cannot enter a new season while constantly rehearsing the fears of the old one. If you spent years expecting disappointment, success may initially feel uncomfortable. If you spent years being rejected, acceptance may make you suspicious. If you spent years struggling financially, abundance may trigger fear that it will disappear. If you spent years being alone, healthy connection may feel unfamiliar. That is why your breakthrough is not only about what happens around you, it is also about what changes inside you. You have to learn how to receive what you once prayed for. You have to learn how to trust good moments without waiting for disaster. You have to learn how to enjoy peace without creating problems just because chaos feels familiar. Your nervous system can become accustomed to survival, but you can teach yourself that peace is safe. You can teach yourself that opportunity is safe. You can teach yourself that love does not always have to hurt. You can teach yourself that success does not require losing yourself. This is part of your next chapter. 8. Wednesday can become your reset point. You don't need a new year to begin again. You don't need January. You don't need Monday. You don't need everyone around you to agree with your decision. You can begin today, this Wednesday, right where you are. Take a moment and ask yourself, what am I no longer willing to carry? Maybe it's resentment. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's the need for approval. Maybe it's constantly checking who believes in you. Maybe it's the habit of expecting the worst. Write it down if you need to. Then ask another question. Who am I becoming? Not what do you want to own. Not what do you want people to think about you. Who are you becoming? Someone peaceful, someone disciplined, someone courageous, someone financially responsible, someone emotionally healthy, someone closer to God, someone who finally respects their own boundaries. Choose that person today, not someday. Today. 9. Your breakthrough may begin quietly. We often imagine breakthrough as something dramatic, a huge announcement, a sudden fortune, a life-changing phone call, and sometimes those things happen. But many breakthroughs begin quietly. You wake up and realize you are no longer emotionally attached to someone who hurt you. That's a breakthrough. You stop checking whether people approve of you. That's a breakthrough. You finally have the courage to apply for the position. That's a breakthrough. You open your Bible again after months of distance. That's a breakthrough. You forgive yourself. That's a breakthrough. You decide to take your finances seriously. That's a breakthrough. You choose peace instead of proving a point. That's a breakthrough. Don't overlook small beginnings because they don't look impressive. A new life is often built from small decisions repeated consistently. 10. This is your declaration. So, if you have made it this far, I want you to slow down, take a breath, and let these words become personal. Say this quietly if you're alone, or say it out loud if you need to hear your own voice. I am not trapped in my past. I am not defined by what happened to me. I am not behind. I am still becoming. I release what no longer belongs in my future. I forgive myself for the things I did not know before I knew better. I trust God with the timing of my life. I will not allow fear to make decisions for me. I will not shrink because someone else is uncomfortable with my growth. I will not confuse delay with denial. I will not mistake silence for abandonment. I am walking forward with faith, and most importantly, I am ready to receive the person God has been preparing me to become. Father, for the person listening right now, bring peace to the places that have been fighting for peace. Give them strength where they feel weak. Give them wisdom where they feel confused. Give them courage where fear has been controlling their decisions. If a door needs to close, give them the courage to let it close. If a door needs to open, give them the faith to walk through it. Help them stop carrying what was only meant for a previous season. Heal the disappointment. Heal the rejection. Heal the loneliness. Heal the part of them that learned to expect less because expecting more once hurt too much. Teach them that their future does not have to resemble their past. And when the opportunity comes, help them recognize it. When the right people arrive, help them recognize them. When peace enters their life, help them stop questioning whether they deserve it. And when the next chapter begins, let them enter it without dragging the weight of the previous chapter behind them. Chosen one, remember this. You are not finished. The chapter that hurt you was not the final chapter. The delay was not the destination. The closed door was not the end. The wilderness was not the promised land. You are still moving. You are still growing. You are still becoming. And maybe this Wednesday is not magical because of the date on the calendar. Maybe it matters because you finally decided to stop waiting for permission to move forward. So walk into today differently. Walk with faith. Walk with wisdom. Walk with peace. Walk knowing that what happened yesterday does not have the authority to determine what happens tomorrow. Your story is still being written. And this time, you are not walking into the future as the person who merely survived the past. You are walking forward as the person the past helped prepare. This is your new beginning. This is your next step. And you are ready. If this message spoke directly to your heart, write "I am ready" in the comments. And if you know someone who is standing at their own crossroads right now, share this message with them. Sometimes one message arrives at exactly the moment someone needs permission to keep going. Stay connected for the next message. Because this chapter is not about surviving anymore. It is about becoming. And your story is just beginning.